Lars a minute to get caught up. Uh-oh, she already found her piece of paper under the... Oh, no. They're changing names around. Well, that's how it should be.
Looks familiar. Didn't hide it well enough.
Now she's moving. Now there's no one in that chair.
Okay,
That's
so-
amazing.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? My name is Tom Douglas. This is Loretta Douglas.
Hi.
We've got Cameron on technical this morning. What
Who am I?
Who are you from down under now?
Still Becky Guzak.
Still Becky. How do they
Yeah.
say your name down there?
Same way.
Same
They
Becky,
speak
yeah.
English. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We have Danae, Annie, and Bridget in the kitchen today, making your breakfast and lunch. You know, for your donation this morning to the food bank, you get breakfast, lunch, hot coffee, and cold tea.
No.
Lars is running the front of the house. You've met him probably already. And he does have a full bar over here, but it's not included. So if you want a mimosa or a shot of tequila or an ice cold beer this morning,
There's no judgment.
there's no judgment. It's no Judge Jones. Zone. I don't know where our competitors are yet. I expected them here cooking, but I think they're probably, if I know restaurant reviewers, they're probably sitting at home doing nothing, expecting someone else to do all the cooking. Unlike myself, who's here and running a business that they like to criticize.
Did you already cook this morning?
Did I already cook this morning? I did not cook this morning. I did package up some turkey stock. You know, we're getting prepped for Thanksgiving. And one of the things you have to do to prep for Thanksgiving is get your turkey stock ready for what?
Gravy.
Turkey gravy. That's what we're talking about. What else do I need to say? The restrooms are down the hallway. There's a bunch of you, so don't wait till the last second. Looks like we have new door locks, so they work better than the old
Oh,
ones.
good.
Because normally people are out there knees crossed trying to get in the damn restroom. So just be aware. We have issues. Yes. The grandbabies, Adonis, Athena, and Hercules are home sick as babies can be sick.
Aw.
You know, they're always sick, which means that if they're sick, that means mom's sick and dad's sick and granny's sick, JJ. They're doing great. The twins, you tell us about them.
They're doing awesome. The twins are 16 months old this week. Rory's 3.5, closing in on 4. They're great. We have had a bad month of illness, but
They all went back east with me to have early Thanksgiving with my family. You know, I have 6 sisters, 5 living. And so they all met up back east for early Thanksgiving. And the kids were nice enough to get every person sick.
No.
It was the trip from hell.
not just sick, but
Not
the
just
stomach
colds,
flu.
but puke or flus. And
The ER visit?
The ER visit. Yeah, we did it all. We like to hit all the hot spots on our vacation.
Well,
me, on the other hand, I'm a picture of health, and I'm the only one that came out unscathed.
Well,
we
welcome
did have
home.
a separate Airbnb.
And I was in first class. I could hear those babies screaming all the way in the back. It was fantastic. All right, Lars. What am I missing? Should we get going? All right, why not? Brigitte, when you talk to Bridget, you always call her Miss Brigitte. It's an insistence that she has had for many years. And so what's for breakfast this morning? What can they expect? A fruit cup to go with it. Well,
Lovely.
fine. Doesn't sound so.
Well, there's a big lunch after, too.
Right. So one of the things I'll tell you, you're in for a long day. So get up and move around. You can talk amongst yourselves during the show. You just can't talk too loud. And get up and move around, take a break, walk around the block, whatever you want to do. There's nothing that says you have to stay here, right? Because this is a 2-hour show. And then we have an hour and a half lunch afterwards. So just be aware. Feel free. Come and go. Welcome to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. We're happy to be here. My name is Tom Douglas.
I'm Loretta Douglas.
And we're coming to you from the beautiful kitchens of the Hot Stove Society in downtown Seattle at the gorgeous Andra Hotel, ANDRA. When you come in for a staycation, come here.
And
Or
hang out at the
Hang out.
fireplace.
Yeah. Have a little breakfast at Lola or at Dahlia Bakery. Come on in. And even if you're not taking a class, come look at our studios because they're really pretty.
It's
I
really
think.
fun, yeah.
What do you guys think? We have a very large audience today. Molly Hancock, come up here for a second and tell us why all these beautiful people are here this morning on such an early morning on a Thursday, which you wouldn't expect them down. Why are you here, Molly Hancock?
Good morning. We're here to
Oh,
support.
wait. I can't hear her. No, I don't know if she's up there for the audience. All right, here we go.
Good morning. We are here to support the University District Food Bank. And we're pretty excited about this because we're also here because we're big fans of Tom Douglas Restaurants
Uh-huh.
and Leslie Kelly and Nancy Leeson. So we're ready for the smackdown.
All right. So in case you don't know, thank you. In case you don't know who that is, Leslie Kelly and Nancy Leeson are former restaurant reviewers for the local paper who have trashed me for years. And this is my turn today. After the show, they are cooking lunch for our audience and for me. And I get to review the reviewers today, and we're going to just rip them. Unless their food's good, and then we'll
Right.
give them the proper praise.
Turning the tables.
We'll turn in the tables. All right. So this was sold at the U District Food Bank. All these lovely people paid $125 to help raise money for the food bank. And my understanding was they had a record year. University Food Bank did on fundraising. So congrats to you all for being part of that. Part of that total. As you know, if you've listened to me over the years, we believe as restaurateurs that our job in life is to feed people. And sometimes they can walk through our front door and other times they can't. And so we don't feel like we're off the hook for those that can't. So we try to support Food Lifeline, which I'm sure distributes food to University Food Bank and all other sorts. Ballard Food Bank, we're big supporters of because our building is right next door in Ballard.
I'm going to plug really quickly. It's Thanksgiving time, so it is a really good time to think about feeding your neighbors. And there are tons of organizations out there that could use your hours or your money if you don't have the hours or both.
Or talent.
Or the other talent. I recently joined the board of an organization called Backpack Brigade, and we've had them on the show before. But they work to end weekend hunger for kids. So they send kids on school meals home with food for the weekend because those kids are at risk of not eating all weekend. So find the one, that's the one that spoke to me with 3 little kids, but find the one that speaks to you and
Get busy.
get busy. 'Tis the
Yeah.
season. Yeah.
'Tis the season. Of course, they need it all year long, but I know people feel a little bit more inclined this time of year. On the show today, well, let's just do a couple of classes that are coming up here at the Hot Stove. I love crab cakes. I'm leading that one. You might remember I have a book named I Love Crab
I
Cakes.
do.
And I was the first person to put a crab cake on the menu in 1977 here in Seattle. There wasn't one restaurant that had crab cakes on the menu. Dim Sum Brunch, that's on November 30th, by the way. Dim Sum Brunch with Chef Rashida, December 14th. Making the Grade Primetime. I'm going to do a discussion on the 21st of December, discussion and tasting of all different grades of meat with different cuts of meat. And we're going to eat a lot of meat
And learn.
and
It'll
learn.
be educational for sure.
And we're going to talk about how, like, maybe you can cheat with a cast iron pan to make a choice steak taste more like a prime steak. It was like, where can you fix things? Or what cuts taste better? Like filet mignon as a Wagyu isn't any better really than filet mignon as a choice because there's just no fat, not enough fat to make a difference. Whereas it makes a huge difference in a New York steak. So we're going to have those kind of conversations. And at the end of December,
It's time.
it's time for the Make and Takes. We do this every year as a way to kind of fill your week after after Christmas, and to also set your freezer up for the spring, the rest of winter and the spring. So we're going to do the Prosser Meatball Project and also savory cabbage rolls, 27th, 28th. And the cool thing about this is if you want to do both, you can do the meatball on Friday night, hang out overnight, and then come in the morning and have make cabbage rolls the next day. So,
And you know what's really cool is there's 4 different varieties. I think it's when I was thinking
Yeah, for
meatballs.
sure.
There's also 2 that aren't meat. One's potato, and
no, that's the cabbage roll.
The
It's
cabbage roll,
potato.
yes.
Yeah.
but I thought it looks really cool.
And you get to take it home with you.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, good fun happening here around the Hot Stove Society show. You can find out about all of our classes on hotstovesociety.com. Okay, we're going to talk turkey today. You know, I went off a little bit on gravy. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I remember.
We got a few comments.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, like, you're no god.
But we learned you're the gravy god.
I'm
not
the gravy god. I didn't say I
God.
was God. I said I was the gravy god.
Mhm.
Just back off. Another woman said,
Let him have this one thing, guys.
Yeah, one thing. Another person said that they listened to it 6 times and they had a ball and they thought I should open a church of gravy. So
Was that a
Good.
sister?
it kind of goes both ways. Eliza Ward is here from chefshop.com. She's going to take us on a journey through the world of panettone, which I just bought when I was in Arizona for the boys. Because, you know, these are, what do they know? Guys are stupid, generally, especially old guys like me.
Golfer buddies?
Golfer buddies, yeah. And when I made them eat panettone for breakfast, they all turned their noses up at me. Eliza, you know that look. It's like, fruit bread? Are you kidding me? And then I put good salted French butter on top, toasted it. Oh, my Lord. They were just, it was gone.
Transformed.
They were transformed.
Yeah.
We dive into the flavors of Down Under with you, Becky. Welcome back.
Thank you. Fun to be back.
Give us a little primer of your segment. What's your favorite taste?
Oh, favorite taste. Well, there's a lot of seafood.
I know
Love
that, Becky.
seafood.
I was there.
And something called a crayfish or crawfish is actually a giant lobster.
Ah,
And that was fun.
and you ate it
Oh, yeah.
before it ate you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Pastry chef Brittany Bartolabin is here to inspire us with her take on holiday desserts. Dr. Nathan Muirvold, who was last on to talk about Chef Terry
Yeah.
on our
Some
tribute show,
beautiful
the Chef
memories
Terry.
about Terry, yeah.
He's got a new book out called Bread. And of course, we're going to do Food for Thought Tasty Trivia today. And we have a bread book to give away today at some point.
We do.
All right, so
You're very
be
generous.
prepared for that. Okay, Loretta. It's time for your taste of the week.
Can you taste?
And you can pick any of the dishes I made for your supper the other night. That's fine. It doesn't embarrass me.
Oh my God. He thinks he's really fancy.
She invites me to dinner and then walks in and says, "There's the food.
I absolutely did not. You walked in the door and you
There's the
said,
food.
okay.
Oh, what time is dinner?"
Oh, that's cute.
Oh my, that's not at
Not
all what happened.
Okay.
Let's be real. He just walked in 3 minutes after I did and was flabbergasted that I wasn't already halfway through dinner prep. And I was like, I do have a job that I come home from. Anywho, it's soup season, which makes me very happy because I love soup. I would eat soup every day. And my guilty pleasure taste is really good broccoli cheddar soup.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, that's the number one seller at Costco is
Is
broccoli
it?
cheddar. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I love it. And the other day, this is so lame and shows you how much I get out. But the other day I was at a hot bar and they had broccoli cheddar and they had loaded baked potato. And I took the two and I put them in one bowl together, half and half.
What store were you at?
Met Market.
Met Market up on Magnolia?
It was quite satisfying.
That is so gross. Not the Met Market soup so much, but to just combine them and gorge yourself.
Yeah, well, I am who I am.
I am who I am. Well, it's not how you were brung up, baby. Sort of. Hey, Danae, or whoever's doing that, can you... Oh, it's Brigitte. My taste of the week, I have several, but I will say that last Sunday I went down to San Francisco for a friend's birthday. Becky, do you remember? How old are you now? You're there. Okay.
Can't
Yeah,
ask
I'm
her
not
that
there
on the
yet.
air.
In June.
I used to go out for people's like 40th birthdays
Uh-huh.
or 50th birthdays. I went down for a friend's 80th birthday,
Wow.
which
I'm not
suggests
that-
how
I'm not
old
there
I'm
yet.
getting. Anyway, it was at Boulevard Restaurant,
Oh,
which
Nancy
is
Oaks, your
for
friend.
many, many years
Yeah.
top rated, maybe still is 25 or 30 years top rated restaurant in San Francisco.
Mhm.
And Nancy, who's the chef owner there, is married to a young man named Bruce Idell. And many
Mhm.
of you have probably seen his face on meatballs and sausages sold at Costco. And he's been around for a million years. Well, 80 to be exact.
Oh,
And-
it's Bruce's.
It's Bruce's birthday. And, he doesn't own that company anymore. He sold
Right.
his name and image
Lucky
20
guy.
years ago or something
Yeah.
like that. But Bruce was there, and Boulevard just is over the top. Has anyone in this audience been to Boulevard Restaurant? It is
In what way?
It's stunning.
just to go. It's one of
yeah.
the most beautiful restaurants
Yeah.
I've been in the world.
Oh.
It is right there on the bay. The Bay Bridge is right in the background. Ferry Terminal's right around the corner. One mission. I mean, it is.
And it's
It's
like it's
eight-
maximalist. It's not like a pared back, pulled back, minimal design.
No.
Like it's opulent feeling.
It looks like the Parisian metro station, all the
Oh,
ironwork
pretty.
and the tiles. And the building's 150 years old, and it's spectacular.
Yeah.
And she has a cookbook called Boulevard.
And it was such an over the top little tribute to her husband Bruce that I was just blown away. There were like mountains of caviar, literally mountains, 25 pounds of caviar,
Wow. How many people?
150 people. There were crab legs.
Mm.
Dungeness crab legs, when you get them whole by themselves, are $100 a pound.
Wow.
I couldn't finish. I mean, the mountain of seafood. I mean, it was just crazy over the top tribute to her husband, and white truffles, and it was so Boulevard. I guess I
Wow.
wasn't really expecting it. And then she hired a pizza guy to make pizza out front. They walked through with fresh made pizza. So
Oh, fun.
it was a nice little juxtaposition.
Yeah.
I just love though that he was like, look, I want to have this party now while I'm alive. Like
Yes.
I don't get to have this party without me later on.
Yeah, it's like having your wake while
Yeah.
you're still alive.
like
Yeah.
he got to see all of his friends and have this big blowout. It's awesome. I love that.
Great.
It was super fun, and I was I
Honored to
enjoyed
be
every
there.
minute. I just
Yeah.
flew down for the day.
Mhm.
It was super fun to be there with my wife and having a good time, and stayed at the hotel across the street.
Nice.
Just walked back and forth. That's the way to party.
Yeah.
It's like a staycation, but not here. All right, we're going to talk turkey when we come back. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM on Cairo. I'm glad your microphone is over there. Oh, about
Oh,
time you
who's
got your
this?
ass out of bed. Did you have to do some wash in pink dye this morning, or what happened?
Coffee's right there, Leslie.
Okay, we're going to roll, so we need to catch up. We're going to roll because we need to catch up a little bit. Welcome back. It's the Hot Stove Society Show. We got a full house today. Lots of supporters of the University District Food Bank are here. They bought tickets at the auction, and we're happy to have you in the house. The chefs are busy making a breakfast. And then, of course, we're going to turn the tables later this afternoon with Nancy Leeson, if you remember, from the Seattle Times, and Leslie Kelly from who knows where, Seattle PI. They used to just trash me every day on my restaurants, and now I get to review their lunch today. I'm looking forward to that. Let's talk turkey. Loretta, I told your mother last night when she put out a little thing about turkey supper, like, do we want to do a traditional turkey? Do we want to do like a Chinese style turkey dinner? Do we blah, blah, blah? Because we like all sorts of things. And I said, Loretta's going to want to do traditional. And she said, I'm not so sure. She's the one who brought this up.
Oh.
Okay, well,
So was I wrong or was I right?
so here's the thing. If we're having a turkey dinner, I like a traditional turkey. You get it once a year. I used to get it twice a year because it was what I would ask for on my birthday. It would be to re-have Thanksgiving dinner. But we have the smallest group for Thanksgiving this year that we have ever had. And so it felt like if there was a year to go get Chinese
You
food,
get rogue.
like and go out and do something completely different, it's this year. There's only like 8 of us, which, normally we have pushing 30. So that was my suggestion.
And
But
to what do you attribute the fact that we only have 8? Did I make a crappy dinner last year? What is the deal?
no, my little family got everybody sick at early Thanksgiving, and
Oh.
now nobody
how
wants to see us
Oh,
again.
funny how that. So they're all like staying
Oh,
away. I love
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Great. No, I'm a traditional turkey girl, and I hate to give you too much credit, but one, you make really good turkey, and two, the Rub with Love turkey rub is my favorite rub that
Mhm.
we make, and I love those flavors. So
It just makes sense.
This makes
Yeah.
sense.
I just like
All
a
right, let's
traditional
talk
meal.
turkey for a second. Let's start at the beginning because last week I kind of went off on gravy
Okay,
and I gave a little sermon from the gravy god, and so I'm not going to
the
go
gravy
there.
dais.
Not going to go there today. We're just going to talk turkey.
Okay,
So some basic turkey rules for me is no matter what size group you have, don't buy more than a 15-pound turkey because it's hard to cook it in a way that it is all delicious. So roasting of like 15 and under, even 15 is pretty big, but a 15 and under pound turkey is more like roasting a chicken, and you can kind of control the breast cooking and the thigh cooking. But once you get a 20-pound turkey and you have that huge cavity in the center of it,
yeah.
the breast is very difficult to control compared to the leg.
So
and
just
the
buy
thigh.
2. If you have a
Just
really
buy
big group,
2.
just make 2
Yeah.
smaller turkeys.
Now I happen to have 2 ovens, so that's very helpful.
Of course
So
you
I
do.
understand. Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand that if that doesn't work, but sorry. So then the next thing on a turkey is I buy a 15-pounder or less, and then I don't like to overstuff the cavity because I want
Yeah.
it again to cook more evenly. And so I'll put in some aromatics into the cavity, which include orange peel, garlic clove, sage leaves, and my secret ingredient is coffee beans.
Yes.
And that is, if you ever smell coffee when you get up in the morning, you love that roasty smell, right? That's what you get from the coffee beans in the cavity.
You
they
use
just-
coffee like on your Easter ham too. I feel like you use
Yeah, I
it
use
as this
espresso
kind
there.
of
A
depth
bitter,
of flavor, bitterness.
bitter aromatic.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many coffee beans? Like a
So for a
quarter cup
15-pound
or
turkey, I'd put a quarter cup
Okay,
up
I
to a
guessed
half a
right.
cup in.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when it's done cooking, I let it rest, and I've got all my drippings. I haven't got to what the turkey is on a pile of onions and butter and garlic and sage, and now I've created the turkey fat and drippings in the pan, and now I'm going to tip my turkey, and you can put a slotted spoon, a little strainer, whatever it is, but you want all those coffee juices from the center of the cavity into your pan
Okay.
as part of your drippings, and that's where the aromatic flavor comes from. Because from the inside of the cavity, it's been infused a little bit, but you can't get a whole lot. But so basically, it's going to disappear into your gravy.
So back up a little. Day before, are you brining? Are you
I'm
drying
not.
it out? What
I'm
are you
just
doing?
Drying it out
Okay,
on a rack in the fridge, drying out
with salt.
with salt,
just salt, nothing else.
nothing else.
Okay, and then
That's the smallest breakfast ever.
when you're
Sorry, team.
Stay for lunch.
when you're day of, you pull it out. Do you let it come to room temperature before you put it in the oven?
Doesn't matter
Doesn't matter to you. Okay.
because I'm going low and slow.
Do you shove a compound butter under the skin?
Just butter.
Just-
under the butter, under the skin. You can or you can't. If I do that, I'll do a smoked paprika butter
Okay.
or the turkey rub butter.
And you just put it under the skin,
Yeah.
put it on top.
But you really should do that not after it's sat in the fridge for a day, because when the skin dries and tightens, it'll want to tear when you go to put the butter underneath. So you want the skin to be as wet as it can be when you go to fill the butter in, because then it's more elastic and you can get
Okay.
like my hands are too big. I always have your mom do it
Yeah.
because my hands are too big to kind of get in under there. But you want to do it while right out of the wrapper.
Okay. Interesting.
Then let it dry.
Okay.
How do you feel about spatchcock cooking?
I hate it.
You do. Why?
It's just not my thing. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to put it under a brick and put it on the charcoal grill. And now I've lost my drippings.
Ah.
But for Thanksgiving, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You have these now two big halves of turkey
Mhm.
that most people don't have a pan big enough to put once it's split. And the spatchcock is literally a half a turkey, except for a little strand through the breastbone that's stuck together. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I just made one last week.
And
It was so good, but it was just a 10-pound.
but it would have been good either way, whether you
Absolutely.
spatchcocked it or not.
Absolutely, but it did fit in my fridge and my oven because it's just on a sheet pan and it was
Right.
only 10 pounds.
Right.
But I did the
But
same.
what did
dry
you
brine.
gain? That's the part that somebody has to explain to me. When you patch, so spatchcocking is when you take the backbone out, then you split the breastbone
Mhm.
from the inside, and you just kind of flatten it out.
Mhm.
And sometimes you can put a brick on top and do it in a cast iron pan, like with a chicken or a game hen, and you get that nice crusty skin. But with a turkey, you can't really do that. So what did you gain?
Well, the crispy skin for sure, but kind of the joy of doing it,
Okay.
and it was just kind of novel. And I
You
did
just like
what I
torturing
did
a turkey.
wrong. Totally. What I did wrong is I put it on a sheet rack with it was drying in the fridge. Then I put onions and carrots underneath that.
Ah.
I didn't put the turkey directly on it, so all those got way too burned, and I couldn't use them. So that was a mistake. So
Interesting. Okay.
I love your tip with the gravy is putting the turkey directly on the onions.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the back of the turkey too.
Yeah.
So you're not even
It doesn't matter.
doesn't
yeah.
much matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like a little burned
Yes.
bits
Yes.
because that gives your gravy color and caramelization and flavor. So don't be afraid of that burnt
Okay.
part.
Okay.
You know that.
Yeah.
But they must have been really burnt for you to throw them away.
Then I made gravy and stock, and it was super fun with
Uh-huh.
the backbone
With
and
the backbone. Yeah.
So
And-
do you baste?
I'm a baster.
You're a baster.
Yeah.
I know the answer to this. You're not an injector.
I'm
There
not
are
an
some
injector.
people that will take the juices or butter or whatever and inject it into the
No. I've just never done it really. So
Okay.
if I was going to deep fry it or something, maybe I would do that a day in advance. But a lot of turkeys have a lot of saline pumped into them.
Mhm.
That's the difference between a good turkey and a bad turkey. Just like a good ham and a bad ham. The bad hams are all pumped with stuff. We don't like that.
no stuff. So
So
good
there's my
quality turkey,
Yeah.
simply done,
160 degrees in the
low
thigh,
and low.
Mhm.
low and slow. If you have to turn on the broiler for a minute to get a little more brown that you want, so be it. But typically I have no problem at 325 getting some brown.
Beautiful.
Yeah. There
And
it
the
is.
house smells lovely.
And the house smells lovely.
Loretta, have you made a turkey?
I probably haven't. I probably only helped out with the one
Yeah.
at the house, but I don't think I've ever had a reason to make a whole one at home.
Here's the thing. When you're done carving and everything's done, you take those roasted turkey bones and you put them in a smaller pot. Not like if you were making a big stock, but a smaller pot. And you stuff everything in there
Mhm.
and just fill it with water to the top, all the herbage, everything, and then cook it.
Yeah,
And it makes the most beautiful roasted turkey broth
gorgeous.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Which is different than the broth that the stock that you're making, right?
And
Right.
key to me at Thanksgiving is have more turkey than you need for your dinner, right? Because
Right, you have to have
you have to have
leftovers.
leftovers, and you have to be able to send your guests home with leftovers.
Yeah,
Good
and
tip.
this year, of the 8 people coming, 3 are Rugrats.
Yeah.
So there'll be plenty of turkey left over. All right, up next, Eliza Ward's here. She's the owner of chefshop.com, also the brick and mortar store down on Elliott Avenue. She's going to take us on a journey through the world of panettone, which
Woohoo.
I love.
Yes.
On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. I bought one at AJ's down in Phoenix called Panettone. I know there's a million of them, but it was really good. They had all the cheapo ones, and then I just felt this one. It was nice and heavy, and I got it, and it was right on the money. She's going to be sitting over there if you want to refer to them. Is it going to be both of you up on mic or just?
No, just us.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
You guys, wait. Oh, you can't? Say again. Oh, then you try. So I have a question for you, Tom, but we can do it on the air, about why the texture of the Pandoro is different than the texture of the Panettone. So I was trying to figure that out and I couldn't figure it out. Yep. And I figured it was either the leavening time or the percentage of egg. Would that impact the crumb, or the type of flour, or the grain? Or maybe the size of the grain of the. Yeah, yeah.
How's that mushroom quiche? Pretty good, huh?
Close. Okay, okay. I always forget. It's like,
Oh, yeah,
I'm
you're
nervous.
on it.
I know,
The,
right? Yeah. We can start passing out. Is it okay if we start passing out the bread?
Yeah.
Okay. And then hopefully everybody
Danae,
will
can you help
wait.
pass panettone, please? Danae? Just give me a thumbs up if you hear me.
Sounds like you just took a big trip. Sounds like you just took a big trip. You're back from somewhere exciting. Say again? Yeah, they're a little bit dry. We cut them this morning. So they have dried out just a little bit. Also, they vary just a little bit by maker. And density, just some makers. Yeah, I mean it's so like the size of the pockets on the inside too. Like the southern, I think the southern Italians make them more like big pockets. I like the northern Italian, which is a little denser. Is that what you mean? A little denser.
All right, we're back in the kitchen here on Cairo Radio. Excited to be here. University Food Bank supporters in the audience today, all 30 of them, waiting for eating mushroom quiche and waiting for lunch. They've also have in front of them now 4 different kinds of panettone. So I'm going to spell panettone for you because sometimes people don't pronounce the E when they're looking at it, so they think of it as panettone. And Eliza, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's panettone.
It's panettone. Yeah.
Because the Italians pronounce the last vowel. So Panettone. And they get it confused with the nougat sometimes, which is like the egg white nugget. What is that called?
I have no idea what you're talking
A
about.
nougat?
Sell it. You sell-
Oh, Torone.
Torone. I think some people confuse Torone
Torone.
and panettone.
Tone. And Pandoro and Panforte.
Yeah.
There's so many
So many different ones.
so many pastries in it.
So Eliza is the owner of chefshop.com down there on Elliott Avenue. It's a delightful stroll if you're ever in there.
It sure is.
Lots of fun things. But one of my favorite times of year to go is this time because all the panettone from all over Italy has arrived.
Yep.
And when you say, what does this one taste like? They just look at you and say, follow me. And they walk over to a drawer, pull out a magic bag, and give you a bite of each and every one of the panettones on the shelf there. And I don't know, I think last year or the year before, I bought 40 some for my management
Wow.
team.
Yeah.
They're a great little holiday gift. And they have
They're
no...
a wonderful like host gift.
Yeah.
too,
Yeah,
I
and
think
they're,
if you're
they're
going
so
to it.
beautifully wrapped. You don't have to do anything.
You don't have to do anything. And the thing is, people get them confused with the old Lions Club fruit cakes,
Yeah.
which they raise money for the blind, but they could make you blind if I'm by eating too much of those. They are intense,
Terrible.
and I actually kind of like them, but they lots of red and green maraschino cherries.
Yeah,
and
lots
this
of stuff.
This is a art, and they have really come into their own over the last couple of years, both in Italy as far as being higher quality that we're seeing from Italy, and also local bakeries have really done an amazing job of kind of imitating the product.
They have.
So tell us about what you brought for us today
Okay.
and what panettone is all about.
Okay, so it's Christmas time, which means panettone in Italy. The traditional one, which is the first one, if you guys are eating the one with the raisins, the one on the, I don't know,
On your
or right.
left.
That is a traditionale. So panettone started in Milano in the 1500s,
Mm.
and it's now sort of made everywhere in Italy. But the traditionale is very specific. It has raisins, candied orange peel, and candied citron in it.
And usually the raisins are macerated or something before
Or they're
used.
soaked, yeah.
Yeah.
And the key to a good panettone is, well, there's a number of things. Of course, the quality of the ingredients and the quantity of the ingredients. A good panettone, the second ingredient is going to be egg. We're in bad panettone, which we've all eaten. Those dry panettone. The egg is way down on the list, and
Right.
butter too, the quality of the butter. So that makes a huge difference in terms of not the moisture content, but the texture of the panettone
Right.
being not dry. And then it's the process of making the panettone. Goes through a very long process, 2.5 to 3 days periods with the yeast, with the wild yeast, and every pasticceria has their own yeast that they use, that they pass down from generations to generations, and from generation to generation. And it also adds to the flavor of the panettone. So the
Right.
quality of the ingredients, the process, giving the yeast its time, and then the very magical thing about panettone is when they let it cool is they invert it so it keeps that lofty, airy.
Food cake. It's not quite as light as an angel food cake, but same idea. And-
So go ahead.
Typically, it's cooked these days in a paper
Yep.
cup,
Yep.
like in a paper wrapper that you simply just peel off.
Yep.
And then, and it's like a French brioche in a funny way as far as the texture of the bread goes.
Exactly. It has a lot of egg in it
Yeah.
and butter, which is the
Uh-huh.
key.
And some of the moisture content is helped by the extra butter and also by the fruit leaves some moisture in the bread that might not always be there.
It does. And I think the mystery for a lot of people is and I get this question all the time, is how does the panettone last so long?
Right.
Right. Because I order these in June and July, and I get them this time of year, and they usually have a date on them of Easter, which is very classic,
Wow.
right? Because at Easter time, they come out with what we call our Easter panettone or the colomba. So they want to make sure you've eaten all your Christmas panettone by then,
before.
and you go out and buy your
that's
colomba.
cute. Mhm.
And it has something to do with the moisture content. I mean, maybe you know more about this than I do, but it's because it's a sourdough, essentially a sourdough yeast,
Uh-huh.
that the acid level helps prevent mold, which is the biggest problem,
Uh-huh.
right? Is it going mold? They
Yeah,
don't go
because there's no
moldy.
preservatives in the ingredient list.
No.
So
Nope, they don't
and
go
then
moldy.
the egg is the fat, right? Egg yolks are fat.
And butter, yep.
Literally part of what keeps the bread moist.
And it makes it a beautiful color. And the quality of the eggs is very important as well. So the difference between, what you might find at the grocery store or the commercially produced has to do with both the process and the quality of the ingredients.
Okay. How do you like to eat it?
Oh, I usually just grab handfuls of it and eat it.
So you like it room temperature?
Room temperature, or they say you can put it on your radiator and warm it up.
Mhm.
If you've had it in your cool pantry or whatever, you can, on Christmas Day, the tradition is you put it on your hot radiator or your wood burning stove or whatever, and it warms it up and it fills the room with that beautiful aroma. So you're all getting
love
ready to eat your
that.
penny. Yeah.
Yeah. I put mine in the toaster.
Yep.
I make slices and put it in the toaster, and it browns very quick. You have to keep an eye on it.
Yep.
Because there is sugar in the bread.
Yep.
So it
Yeah,
brown,
put it on the 1 or the 2 setting.
yeah, browns very quickly. And then I love a big slab of salty butter on top.
Yeah. Yum.
Yeah.
Yum, yum, yum.
Yeah.
You can also make bread pudding out of it. That's very common, or French toast.
Yeah, and to me, for me personally, it's too moist for that.
Yeah, it's going to absorb
It's
a
going to be a
lot.
little soggy, and I like my French toast with a hearty crust on it.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's kind of the opposite.
You've brought us 4 different ones today.
Right.
So we've had
these
the
are-
traditionale.
Yeah, so these are 4 makers that we work with. Typically, there's a couple other makers we're bringing in periodically, but these are the four main ones. So we have Kova in the middle, which is from 1930s traditional Milan.
And that one's
that's
got a
the-
little chocolate in it?
That's the one with raisins and candied citron and candied orange peel.
Okay.
And then the second one on your list there, on your little flight of tastings, is the Lemone from Albertengo. Albertengo's up in Piemonte, so not too far from Milan. And that has only candied Sorrento lemons in it. So for those people who don't like raisins, and there's a lot of people out there who don't like raisins, and you don't want chocolate in your panettone, it's a great option. It is by far our number one seller.
Is it?
Yeah, I
Wow,
think it's just
interesting.
sort of ubiquitously liked by everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
See,
like
and
a
it's
safe-
not my
nothing
favorite
offensive,
of
Safe
the group.
choice,
Yeah.
kind of.
There's nothing offensive about it, and it's
Yeah.
not very sweet, which is very typical of panettone. The third one is from Flimigi. They're down in Fiorli, which is down more towards Bologna, southeast of Bologna. We bring in mostly the ones that are candied fruit and chocolate together. So, and they have this amazing packaging. So in this case, you're tasting the chocolate and fig, which is a very classic combination. So dried figs and chocolate. So if you like if you want to make French toast and you want those little melty bits in there, or toasted in your toaster,
Right.
you can get those little melty bits of chocolate.
Yeah. I'm not a chocolate panettone person.
I'm not personally either, but there are a lot of people who are.
Yeah.
Have you? So I'm on a series of Italian au pairs, and one of the things that one of my Italian au pairs asked for that she said she always had was pistachio panettone, and it's actually filled with like a pistachio cream. Have you seen that?
Yes. So Borsari, we actually sell one. So you should
Oh,
come
I'm
down.
going to come get her one. for
Gotta hurry
Christmas.
up. 'cause
Okay.
mine
Yeah,
is-
set
it's
that
going to sell out
aside.
soon. We sell one. That is so the very last one on the flight is actually from Borsari, who's in Verona, so closer to Venice. And that's actually not a panettone, it's a pandoro.
Okay.
So pandoro, the story goes that in the Renaissance, so 1500s, that for wealthy customers, they would actually sprinkle the bread with gold.
With gold.
Right? And that's how it
Oh.
got its name, because pan and oro. But then that was in Venice. But then in the 1800s, Verona kind of took over the Pandoro. They took the name and then they started making it in this sort of very tall, star-shaped mold. And then they sprinkle it with powdered sugar. This company is known for its Pandoro, but they also make a pistachio cream that we sell, as well as a limoncello with limoncello cream inside. Not traditional,
Yeah.
but delicious. None of these, I mean, the traditionale is traditional. Everything else is sort of new in the last 30 years. New flavors of panettone come out. A lot of it is for the U.S. market originally, but I think they're also catching on in Italy.
Have you had a locally made panettone that you would love, that you like? Because I think
No.
Macrina makes one. I think a lot of places are making them.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. And I think a lot of people have figured it out. I remember years ago, Tom, you used to bring us a panettone, but it's been many years since I've tasted yours. But I'm sure it's delicious.
One year I bought one called Bonaventura, which
Yeah.
you have had on or off over the years.
Well, it's coming in this year. I'll
Is
pull
it?
one for you.
uh-huh.
I actually texted you in June or July and said, "Do you want this one?"
Oh, that's right.
And you never responded.
well, they're
Whoa.
expensive.
Called out.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah,
you brought
maybe,
it in anyway.
Maybe I was golfing somewhere in the world and
yeah. I'm
wasn't
sure
ready
you
to
couldn't
think about
afford it.
panettone in November.
Yeah, if you can't afford it,
I mean, you can make them. And if you make them again, I think it's one of those things that whether purchased or homemade is such a beautiful gift in and of itself. Like we used to have this amazing employee that every year she made boatloads of panettone and people would buy them from her and she would
yeah,
wheel
yeah.
them
Yeah.
around in a suitcase and deliver them to everybody. But that was the Christmas gift. And
Yeah.
it's
And you know
Yeah.
what's
Fun.
exciting is you can go visit Liza and taste them.
Yeah.
You're having a
Yeah.
tasting.
We're having a
this weekend.
tasting event. It's our traditional annual Taste of the Cakes event. It's the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday after Thanksgiving. We're running out of panettone, so we'll have other cakes open too, as well as things like fruit cakes and panforte.
You can't be out of panettone already.
you better go
Yeah,
buy
well,
your
you better go down there,
selection.
Tom, soon.
So that's 29th, 30th,
And the first.
and the 1st.
We're open
From 1
10
to
to
noon.
6, except Sunday, noon to 4.
Okay.
It's just open house. It's just
You
cash.
can
Come
literally
on
taste
in.
every panettone you have.
Well, you can taste any panettone we still have in stock.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
whatever that's going to be.
Well, it's going to be good fun. And believe me, you guys do these things about once a month where you have a specialty ingredient, whether it's Washington cherries or different chocolates or whatever. And it's a great fun to walk around and stroll around your shop.
Yep. Come on down.
All right. What's the actual street address? So if people want to.
It's 1425 Elliott Avenue West. So right next to Holy Mountain Brewery,
Right.
or Dantini's Pizza is right there.
And the Seattle Fencing Club is there.
Seattle
too.
Fencing Club is right there.
Yeah.
It's right in that little strip.
And here, when you're
Near
used to
Albert
shopping
Lee.
online, you can't reach up and taste the panettone.
I know, but what you
Yeah.
can do, by the way, is you can order or pre-order in this case for the panettone before it came in online, and then say you want to pick it up in the store. So
Okay, perfect. All right,
Best of
thank you,
both
Eliza
worlds.
Ward, owner of chefshop.com,
thank
for
you.
your thoughts on panettone. You know, if you want to stick around, Becky just got back from Down Under,
Mm.
and we're going to talk a little bit about what she discovered on her trip. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Thanks, Eliza.
Can we get your pick? With those guys? Oh. They want to get pictures. You gotta ask. You gotta be bossy. Oh.
Take it back and sell them. I'm going to come get the pistachio one from. Give me one of those.
Yeah.
And how many of the bon appetit do you have?
So I think
That was great. Thank you.
just candy blood orange with olive oil.
Right, that's I'll try and come back today. Didn't want you in your shop. Sicko. You have a favorite out there? Lemon?
I know that.
Anybody like the fig and chocolate? I like the fig in that.
Me too.
It's got kind of a boozy kind of something.
Oh, she's staying again for another segment?
For you just invited her for the Tasmania talk.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
It's Becky's segment. I'm just here for decoration.
Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo. We're here at the Hotel Andra, downtown Seattle, 4th and Virginia. If you're trying to find us, and you got to come up to the second floor and kind of worm your way all the way to the back, to the rear of the building, and you'll find our lovely studios there. You won't always find this many cheery faces here, but there's a bunch of people here from the University Food Bank Support Club. And, you know, all you, I think of charitable organizations having their guardian angels. And so that's what I think of you,
Aw.
of being the guardian angels. And I think of myself in that way for the Pike Place Market, as I feel like I'm a Pike Place Market guardian angel. I love to protect how cool and lovely that place is down there. So it takes all of us, our time, talent, or treasure, one or the other, or all three. We appreciate everyone who jumps in to be a pillar of our community, not just scrape the cream off the top, if you know what I mean. Becky.
Yes, Tom.
Thank goodness you're back.
Oh, thank you. I missed you guys.
Yes, indeed. And you did a little work while you were gone. I saw some
I did.
emails come and go a little bit.
Yep. Had some downtime and it was lovely.
So tell us about Down Under and what you found to be not just your favorite, maybe touristy thing, but your
Mhm.
favorite bite and your favorite store. Because I thought retail was really active down there compared to
Super
here.
active. They
Yeah.
don't have one day delivery Amazon business.
No.
So there it's vibrant. It's like Seattle. So I went to Melbourne and then I went to Tasmania.
Right.
And they were very different and very beautiful. And my girlfriend and I loved going to farmers markets. In fact, we ended up going to 3 in one day before it closed. We got on public transportation, and then we Ubered to the last one so we could get there in time.
Uh-huh.
And I love the hustle and bustle of all the artisans there, the beautiful produce, and the seafood was amazing. They have oysters already shucked in beautiful cases.
Uh-huh.
And then they had scallops in a shell, and they would broil those for you. And the fish was gorgeous, and it was just, those lobsters were huge. And the prices were pretty reasonable, especially
Mhm.
with the US dollar. So super fun. We went out to a lot of restaurants and tried some new things. And I picked up a bunch of fun stuff that I wanted to bring back. And one of my favorite ones is Tasmanian honey.
Eliza sells that.
I know. And my sister sent me a picture. I had to buy another suitcase I saved a few dollars,
Yeah.
but now I
Helped
know
you
where
there.
it is. Yes.
I could have helped you there.
Yeah. And one of the really fun things we started off in Tasmania is we went to a truffle farm.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you've ever been to a truffle farm.
Dogs or pigs?
Dogs.
Dogs.
Yeah. People get really passionate about dogs or pigs. And they were very passionate about their dogs. And it was cool because their family invested in this, 25 years ago. And it
Mhm.
takes 6 or 7 years to even find a truffle. And it was really special.
And they're seeding.
They're inoculating them.
Inoculating, yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And they don't know if it's in 10 years, if it's gonna produce or not. And now it's flourishing. And
And how's the
Right, and I
perfume? Because that's what I miss about like Oregon truffles and Washington truffles. They don't come with the perfume
well,
intensity.
we were just there, so that was in spring, and so they weren't ripe.
Mhm.
So I bought truffle honey and then ice cream, which I don't recommend, and truffle mustard, and those were all. And I am not a fan of truffle oil because it's usually synthetic,
Mhm.
but it was lovely.
And overpowering.
Yeah,
And I think one of the objectives of these truffle farms is because it's in the southern hemisphere, so that you can get winter truffles in the summer.
exactly.
So
Opposite
that's-
seasons,
right?
kind of.
Opposite seasons,
Mhm.
and so they grow the winter truffles so we can
Yep.
get them in the summertime.
And honey is huge because it's also, they claim that Tasmania has some of the cleanest air on earth. And then the sea salts. I got to see a big, beautiful sea salt area and clean water. So it was just, if you're a foodie, it's a super
Yeah.
fun place to be.
Restaurants. I mean, let's go back to the beginning for 1 second because
Mhm.
you said it's like Seattle. And I really felt that Melbourne was
Mhm.
like Seattle, but 3 or 4 times the size. I
Yeah.
think there's 5 million in the metro area.
Six. Yep.
So it's not 3 or 4 times our metro area.
Mhm.
I think we have 5 million Everett, Seattle, Tacoma,
Mhm.
but theirs is in a little bit smaller footprint. I also felt like it had the same similar energy as Seattle, but with better transportation.
Yes.
Isn't the transportation amazing?
Super easy, and it's free. You just,
Yeah.
you don't need to fuss with anything, and they speak English, so it's not
From
tricky.
the trolleys to
Yes.
the buses going everywhere to
Imagine.
Uber to, I mean,
And Uber's easy.
river transportation.
Mhm.
It's just I was in a helicopter
Wow.
that lands right in front of the Langham Hotel where I know you stayed.
Wow.
Yeah, just amazing transportation system.
Did you go? Was that a golf trip, or did you just?
Oh, maybe.
Uh-huh.
Maybe they sent a helicopter to pick me up. Maybe.
So I biked and hiked, and you golfed.
And I flew.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So we earned some of our meals,
Let's
but
see, how do you get there faster? Walking, biking, or helicoptering?
I see.
Oh, yeah. Okay, just check.
Yeah, but the food scene was beautiful, and Tasmania grows everything. They export. It was spring, so it was just a plethora of berries and all of these grazing cattle and sheep, and just it made you feel like, oh, we're not overpopulated.
Right.
It just,
Right.
the nature was beautiful and the people were nice. Restaurants were great. There's so much different influence, which it's not just authentic Australian food. There's been so many immigrants, so
Yeah.
there's Indian and Asian and
I find the biggest one is Indonesian.
Indonesian.
You know,
yes.
there's tons of that influence in many of the menus down there, where we consider it kind of up here Pan-Asian.
Mhm.
When you look at someplace like Wild Ginger or
Right.
in San Francisco, the Slanted Door, places like that, they are much more directly influenced. I find it just to be very specific, Indonesian, Jakarta,
hmm
stuff like that. So
Beautiful produce. Some things I'd never seen before.
Uh-huh.
We didn't have a kitchen, so I didn't really buy anything.
oh my lordy.
I know. It was hoteling it. It was eating out every meal.
Wow.
It was, yeah. I I was.
a hardship.
It was hard. Actually, it was really fun to come home and cook again.
Yeah.
Did you
I bet.
have an Australian white while you were there?
Is that the latte?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I learned the different cappuccinos.
Well, it's,
and
it's what do they call? Does anyone
it's a-
remember?
a flat white?
Flat white.
white,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
I did, and they.
So that's
They're-
without the foam. Is that right? Is that what
Mhm.
makes it flat? Does anyone know? Okay,
I don't know. They're big on their coffee. That's for
Yes,
sure.
Huge coffee culture.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And the one thing I was looking for, but I never found because I heard about it, was abalone. And apparently they've got fresh, they farm a lot of it. And we grew up here. My husband and his family would go scuba diving and get abalone in the San Juans, and now it's gone.
Right.
That was back in the 80s. So
Thanks, Becky.
But so I was really looking forward to abalone. But have you had abalone in a long time?
Only farmed out of Hawaii.
Mhm.
There's a big abalone farm, and it's endangered here, so they don't
Oh,
let you
okay.
fish for it.
Yeah.
The last place I had it fresh local was at the Souk Harbor House up on Vancouver Island
Oh,
a million years ago. I
Mhm.
don't even know if that place is still around. So, but the very fancy, and they would dive for it and then put it on your
Mhm.
dinner table,
mhm.
along with a bunch of other things like hammerhead barnacles and.
Oh,
Other
you don't
things
look
that-
at your face. You
Yeah,
don't like
yeah.
this. No, no.
Thank you. I'll have the steak. Would you? Okay, so at the end of the day, would you go back, and where would you go?
Absolutely. I loved Melbourne, and I also really loved. It was called Cable Mountain in Tasmania.
Uh-huh.
Just beautiful. I think 80% of Tasmania is national park, so just beautiful and fresh ingredients,
Uh-huh.
and it was lovely.
Did you go into the leatherwood forests at all?
I did not, but I brought back some leatherwood honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well,
Manuka
you
honey.
really went in on the honeys.
Yeah, I did. All different kinds of honeys. Yeah.
I love that.
What is the Leatherwood Forest? Should we know about this?
Well, the rainforest in the understory, grows a leatherwood tree, and the leatherwood tree blossoms, and they make honey out of it. And in fact, it's Julian who owns the Tasmanian Leatherwood Honey Company
uh-huh.
has been sort of, forthright in trying to save those forests for the leatherwood honey producers.
And what is that? Where Marmite comes from too, or Vegemite?
Vegemite, I think, is what is Australian. Marmite
eat
is
some of that down
British.
there?
But no, I did. I brought some back if people would like to try
Mm,
little bits.
delicious.
Just not you.
yeah, exactly. Well, I'm glad to hear that you can call it properly Melbourne. instead of
Melbourne, well, you
Melbourne.
taught me. Mhm.
Yeah. Everyone down there says Melbourne. And the next time you go, you should bring your golf clubs. It's some of the best golfing in the world.
Great.
Yeah.
And
but-
you could bring a bike.
And I'll bring no.
Nice try.
All right. Those are our culinary thoughts from down under. You have a lot of stuff here. Hopefully you're going to share.
I brought them for the team here.
Coming up in the second hour, Brittany Bartoleben is going to be here to inspire us with her take on holiday desserts. Dr. Nathan Muirvold shares his insights from his newest book, Modernist Bread at Home. And of course, we're going to wrap up the show with food for thought, tasty trivia on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Is Bartolomé here yet?
Yeah, she's back there.
Hi, how are you? Good. How are you? Good. Full house today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I kind of figured with all the salmon wrapping going on over there. I know the deal. Yeah, shove it up to my face. Yep.
How are things?
What? I'm good. Yeah, things are really good. How about you? How are your littles?
They're good.
Yeah.
We've been sick for a month and
Oh God.
like
I'm so sorry. Oh, that's terrible.
either, but you know,
Yeah. Of course, you share everything.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like 1st of November to 1st of April.
I
We're
hate
just
November. It's like
Ill.
it's just yeah.
Do you think it's gonna get better every year?
That's what I'm told with the kids is like the more they get, you know, then
That's
the
what you
less
want
they
them to get. And my
like-
son was sick like a couple of times a month, every month for
Yeah.
probably the first 18 months of his life.
Yeah.
And now he's never sick.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, they've all got tubes now too, so they get a little less sick at least when they get sick. But yeah, it's not ideal. Oh, we just did that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
oh, I can't imagine.
That was
with
the start of our
three-
month. No, Noro is like the barfing. Now we all
That's-
have RSV.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm so sorry.
You think that was Noro?
I mean, it was just a stomach bug, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Naro is super contagious.
I think it was just whatever they call it,
Yeah.
gastroenteritis.
We knew it was Noro
like-
because there was an outbreak at my son's
Yeah,
daycare,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
was just we were fighting over who would take care of the baby. It was just like I just want to lie in bed and die right now. It's the worst.
All right. I'm gonna live.
Were
That
you running
quiche
on
was
empty there?
Delicious. The quiche was really good.
Yeah. It was. Where'd she go? Ooh, it's hot. Ready?
I'm ready.
So we need a little bell ring,
Pardon?
a little bell ring, or are we good?
Oh, we're good.
Okay.
Welcome back for hour number 2 of the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo. We've got so much going on today. We're going to once again thank the supporters here in the room for the University Food Bank. You guys all bought a ticket at the auction this year to come not only hang out with us and have breakfast for the radio show, but the real action is after the show when former restaurant reviewers Nancy Leeson and Leslie Kelly are here to cook lunch for you all and for me.
The critic.
And you guys don't, you have to keep your mouth shut, but I get to be as vicious as I want to be.
Which is so not you.
We're going to turn the tables. And here's the thing, what's not fair about this is it's for the food bank.
Mhm.
So how mean can you be? Right?
When it's for
We're
a good
gonna find
cause.
out.
We're going to find
Yeah.
out. So we're excited to have them. They're both retired out of the food reviewing business, but they are they're up for this game. And I thought Leslie, I think it was Leslie's idea to do
Probably.
this. It's a
Yeah.
good fundraiser idea. And to be clear, we got a little. The ticket was $125. I think we got $25 to put on the breakfast and lunch, and have this incredible team here that's doing it all. And then $100 went right to the food bank. So, congrats to you all for your participation in our community, and for us for doing it for cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, or a little bit more than cost, a little bit less than cost, whatever that was. That didn't quite 25 didn't quite cover.
That's okay. You're always so generous.
We're always good that way. Brittany Bartolomé is here. She is from Hot Cakes. She's the pastry chef, former Dahlia Bakery pastry chef.
Mhm.
We still miss her terribly.
I miss
Except
you
when
too.
she gets feisty with us, and then she starts sassing me around. And we're going to talk holiday desserts.
Yeah.
Now, your new shop is open. I went to it down there in South Seattle.
Yep.
Well, it's not quite South Seattle. Sodo.
Sodo. Yeah.
we call it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you are past the Spokane Street Bridge. You're in that great group of little wineries.
Yeah,
and-
Soto Urban Works. So
Uh-huh.
it's a many wine tasting rooms there, San Juan Seltzery, and now hotcakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's going well. We
Yeah.
had a big bachelorette party over the weekend. It's a great space for big groups. And I always mention this to people. There's on-site parking and there's not a line out the door, which is kind of sets us aside from our other two locations,
Right.
which are, yeah.
Bachelorette. What do you do for a bachelorette?
I'm sorry,
party?
it wasn't a bachelorette. That was a couple of weeks ago. This was a sweet 16. I think it's kind of a perfect
Wow.
little, because we've got
That's so
a
sweet. I
big,
love
long
that.
20
Yeah.
top table
Uh-huh.
there.
And they just gorge themselves on brownies and cookies, or what happened?
It was a sweet 16. They didn't order that much. It was like 15 molten cakes or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. But it's a great little space to hang out. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like Bachelorette would be perfect. You'd go wine tasting.
Wine tasting.
then
We
you'd
do
come
get a
in, eat
lot of those. There's a
chocolate. Yeah.
champagne room, champagne tasting room very close to us. So yeah, we have photo booth, all the fun stuff you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Wine tasting and then sweets.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
more do you want?
Well,
Chocolate
what-
and
what-
wine. Yes.
What have I missed in my life? To me, it usually was Osabuco and then wine.
You do osobuco, then wine, then chocolate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What are you making for Christmas this holiday season, or
I haven't-
whatever holiday you're
I
celebrating?
am Christmas. I'm still trying to figure out because I'm maybe thinking about doing like a German themed dinner. But anyway, for the holidays or for Thanksgiving, I'm just serving my family of 3, and so I don't really want to do a pie this year.
Tom's
I know
got space at his table.
You have no friends?
I just like to be with my family on
Okay.
we're
Oh.
my folks live in Arizona. My husband's parents are no longer with us. So it's just, and this has been a tradition for years dating back to the Dahlia Bakery middle of the night bake. I don't want to talk to anybody on
Right.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I
so
mean-
so it just sort of
give people an
carried.
idea what that's like, that middle of the night when you
So
got
middle of the
900
night bakes,
pies.
more than that. We
Yeah.
were in the thousands in our, so it was all hands on deck. The first shift started at like 2 p.m. on Tuesday
Uh-huh.
and would just roll through early Wednesday morning. And so I would usually go in at like 9 p.m. and work all night long making
Bake all
pies.
night. The corporate team would come in and
Corporate
start
team would ET
boxing
in
at,
his
like, what?
turkey suit. Yeah, it truly was all hands on deck.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the bakers. Corporate team was helping out. Obviously, the bakery staff. But there's nothing like it. It really, you're tired and loopy, but also
It's one of those in the trenches.
in the
bonding
trenches.
things. Yeah.
We'd always have the sexiest man alive issue. We'd have good food. We'd have good music, and so we made a party
Was
out
I
of
in
it.
that issue?
No comment.
She just vomited in her own mouth.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just became a tradition that like nobody talked to me on Thanksgiving. I am in recovery
I'm done.
mode. I'm
Yeah.
eating pie in bed. So yeah, it's been a nice little carryover. So I have a nice quiet Thanksgiving. So I'm not gonna make a pie. I'm gonna make a tiramisu. I have a picky husband. That is one of the desserts he likes, but I'm actually going to sneak pumpkin into it. And I did a pumpkin tiramisu for Serious Pie, Virginia, years and years ago. And it was just super easy to morph that recipe into, pumpkin pie flavors.
Well,
and
tell us how. How do you do
Yeah,
that?
I'm
I just
very
snuck a little
intimidated
pumpkin
by-
pie.
Okay,
Sorry.
so tiramisu has lady fingers.
So lady fingers.
You make your own.
I make my own because they're the easiest thing in the world. And let's talk about that for a second.
I'm so intimidated by tiramisu because it
because
feels,
of the I think a lot of people buy the lady fingers because they don't want to bother. And
Yes, please.
exactly. And I fully respect that. But we're just talking about eggs and sugar and
Mhm.
like that's it. So
Well, there's got to be flour. It's
and
not a
there's
meringue.
very little
Yeah.
flour, a little flour and a little cornstarch, and you're gonna dust the top with powdered
See,
sugar.
all of a sudden the
I
truth
know,
comes out.
sneakies.
Yeah.
This is what the bakers do. They're like, it's
Yeah.
no
We give
problem.
you the basic information and retain the secrets.
I do believe that Terry has a ladyfingers recipe in his Rover's cookbook.
And it's probably solid. I mean,
Yes.
and this is what I want to say about ladyfingers is people freak out about them. Who cares? Who cares if they're not perfect finger shapes? Who cares if
You're stacking them in there anyways.
who
right?
cares?
Okay.
They're going to get soaked and layered in
Mushed
between
out.
cream. And then when it's served, nobody will know. So just calm down. It's going to be fine. And I actually don't actually pipe the ladyfingers because I'm so lazy. I just spread it into a sheet pan and make a ladyfinger sheet cake.
Oh, cheater,
Okay,
cheater,
and then you
pumpkin
just
eater.
Super
cut it.
cheater.
The
Cut it
shape
into
of-
whatever shape, and I will just douse those layers with. I do a blend of espresso and Kahlua, and then I put dark rum in the actual mascarpone filling itself.
And
But
how much pumpkin would go in
pumpkin,
there?
yeah.
How much would you?
how much? I'm scaling my recipe down a lot, but say for like a casserole dish,
Mhm.
I would say there's probably about 5 to 8 fluid ounces of soak that I'm going to want to use up for every layer. An under-soaked tiramisu is a travesty.
Yeah.
And where are you getting the pumpkin in there?
I actually will just roast my own because
Okay.
I only
Yeah,
need
but,
like
but where do you put it?
Oh, I just mix it in. I'm sorry. That makes more sense. Where are you buying your pumpkin? So I just mix it into the mascarpone.
Okay.
And you don't need much, maybe a half cup, and
Okay.
then just whatever spice blend you would typically put into a pumpkin pie, sneak that in there,
Mhm.
and you have a beautiful pumpkin tiramisu that sort of like scratches the pumpkin pie itch, but is different.
Let's go back a couple
Okay.
of steps because we need to. People are trying to make this at home. They're listening to in the kitchen right now with their phone to their ear.
Scrambling to
So we've
write a
got
recipe.
soaked Butterfingers.
Mhm.
Ladyfingers.
Butterfingers. I love
Butterfingers,
that idea, though.
Ladyfingers.
Culinary trailblazer here.
That are soaked in coffee
Coffee and
Espresso
a little
if you want.
booze. Yeah.
and now we got booze in there
Oh,
too.
yeah, I do.
That's the Kahlua,
Yes.
which is a coffee rum.
coffee rum.
liqueur.
You could use any sort of
Okay.
booze you
Um,
like.
Then the mascarpone, which is Italian cream cheese.
Mhm.
How do you make if you can't find mascarpone? You just do cream cheese.
I would just do
a
cream
little
cheese.
cream and soften it.
Yeah. However, mascarpone is so easy to find these days that it's the good stuff. But yes, cream cheese will totally do
Okay,
it. So
but
yeah.
you have to soften it, right?
You soften it a little bit. I usually take whatever booze I'm using, which in this instance is going to be rum. I will mix that into the mascarpone just to soften it a little
Right.
bit. And then you've got some egg yolks and you're going to put that on your mixer and you're going to do something called pada bomb. And I think this is this is where people get intimidated.
This is why we went back to the recipe.
I know. And it's steppy, but it's easy. So you're going to take a sugar syrup and bring that to a boil, a good hard boil. And while your egg yolks are mixing on the mixer, you're going to slowly add that. And so what that's going to do is cook your egg yolks so that you're not eating raw egg yolks. And it also adds a lot of body. It thickens them a bit.
Mhm.
So you're going to mix that basically until your egg yolks have cooled down. It
Uh-huh.
can take several minutes. So you've got your sugary egg yolk mixture. You've got your booze and mascarpone mixture. And then what you're going to do is make a separate bowl with whipped cream. This is the other thing about tiramisu. It's going to use every bowl in your house, but whatever, it's worth it. You don't have to turn your oven on.
Oh, it's super easy though.
it's-
Yeah.
So you're going to make some whipped cream. And then you're just going to bring those 3 elements together, fold them together, and then soak your ladyfingers or sponge cake, or even if you bought cookies, whatever, you're going to soak that and just layer it all in a casserole dish.
Uh-huh.
And what I love about it is you can do it several days in advance and it just gets better. It just kind of like
Ooh.
ages a little bit. You can even freeze it and it thaws beautifully.
Uh-huh.
So it's a great option for pumpkin pie if you don't want to mess with crust.
Yeah, just do,
Do a super
just do
simple
18
tiramisu.
bowls. Yeah.
Is it like
That's great.
a 1-to-1 part ratio of mascarpone, egg? whipped
Volume
cream?
wise, it's roughly the
Volume-wise?
same.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you just bring those 3 elements together and
And are you a sieved cocoa on
I
top
absolutely am.
Because you
Yes.
forgot to mention that.
I forgot to mention. You're going to sift cocoa powder on top.
Uh-huh.
And then I just serve with some gratings of just chocolate right on top. Just
Uh-huh.
Like a
grated
dark chocolate.
Yes, any dark chocolate. Yeah.
Super
I like
simple.
little gratings, fine gratings of orange peel too.
That would be delicious as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. And there you have it.
That's
Wow.
Brittany
Yeah.
Bartleben.
Yeah.
That's a simple little tiramisu recipe.
Simple little tiramisu. Yeah.
And, praise the Lord, her bakery's open. You can buy it yourself. Brittany is the pastry chef for Hotcakes, which has 3 locations
Mhm.
around town. Check them out, or you can find them in your local grocery store in the freezer case. You can find your little molten cakes.
Absolutely.
That's right. All right, up next is Dr. Nathan Muirvold. I just saw him walk in, so we're excited to have him with the new bread book here called Modernist Bread on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Thanks, Britt.
luck.
Yeah, thank you. You as well. Send my love to the bakers.
It's a
You
lot
know, for
less-
them, the
a
hard
lot
work
less
is-
pies.
Hey, Tom, how's it going?
Awesome. Here? Yep.
Nathan, I'm gonna hold this until second segment. The first segment, we'll just talk about ours, whatever you want to talk about, and then.
I
Did
will
anyone ever
respond
sit
to
in the
him.
chair? There's somebody sitting there?
Yeah. Yeah. Just a little uncomfortably close.
Exactly. Wow, I got you 2 times in what, 6 or 8 weeks?
Yeah.
Love it. You're wrong. Okay, so I'm going to do the person next to it. The person next to it. The purple. Blue, whatever that is. Blue. Oh, she did find it. Okay. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I had to borrow Bridget's glasses today.
They look good. They work.
It seemed to be higher quality than my $3 a pair glasses that I bought. All right, here we are back in the kitchens here at the Hot Stove Society Show. We've got a lively audience today, all supporting the University District Food Bank. Thank you again for doing that. We have you've got a special treat today. Dr. Nathan Muirvold's here. He's a scientist, technologist, inventor, and author, and food photographer. And he's got
And probably more.
a quaint little set
Mm-hmm.
of books called Modernist Cuisine
Mhm.
that are all over the place, it seems like to me. And now you've got Modernist Pizza, you've got Modernist, the new one is Bread at Home. So congratulations.
Well, thanks.
I know these are like 4 and 5 year projects for you, so it must feel good to birth the baby.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a gestation time of 60 months or something.
Uh-huh.
But you have to enjoy what you're doing, because if you hate it and you're waiting till the end,
yeah,
it doesn't work.
It's too late. Tell us about you. And I know you were on the show maybe 2 months ago when we did the Terry Rotaro tribute radio show. But tell us about you and how you got into cooking and your background a bit, in case people don't know.
Well, I have always been into cooking. When I was 9 years old, I told Mom I was going to cook Thanksgiving dinner all by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the store by myself, and I got all these books. I was naive about it. I checked out Escoffier's book.
Uh-huh.
Turns out it's not good for Thanksgiving.
Not good. Uh-uh.
Is this the Pyromaniacs something?
I also the one that was much more useful for a 9-year-old boy was the Pyromaniacs cookbook, because that was about flambeing things.
Oh, that's fun.
The idea of pouring fire at the kitchen or at the table was just awesome. So I actually made baked yams, and I had a flaming rum and brown butter sauce on them.
I'm
Worked
assuming
out.
this store didn't sell you the rum.
No,
You must have found
no,
that
I had
somewhere
to
else.
get Mom to do that.
Yeah. Did you make the turkey?
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
And how did it come out?
Yeah, I do a better job today.
Yeah.
But it wasn't worse than Mom's. So
Well.
maybe not. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But
That's funny. My mom always made the turkey in the house and the whole dinner. That was one of her favorite things till the very end.
Mhm.
She loved doing that. And when she couldn't do it by herself anymore, she had no problem enlisting help from all the kids. You know, it's super fun time of year to jump in, be traditional.
Yep.
And what else? You have a software background or a
Yeah,
high
so,
tech background?
I came up to. I was actually born in Seattle, but moved away. I was 2. They didn't ask me. And later wound up starting a software company that Microsoft acquired. And so I worked at Microsoft for 14 years. I was the first chief technology officer there. So that could have been the end of the story. Maybe it should have been the end of the story. But I was always so into cooking. At one point, I realized I'd gone to school. I got a PhD in physics, and I got a pile of other degrees. But cooking was something that was really important to me. I had never actually studied it formally.
Mhm.
So I got Bill Gates to give me a leave of absence to go to a chef school in France.
Mhm.
And I did.
And did Bill look at you sideways, or did he just?
Bill did not understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
I
not
know
a
this
shock.
because he said, I don't understand. He said, but maybe I could understand if it was just about the eating. I said, no. I like the process of making it also.
Uh-huh.
And he says to this day, it is the only cookbook he's ever opened is mine.
Is
Oh,
really?
wow.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, I think he lives at a club down in Palm Springs right now. They're not making a lot. I don't think he's cooking a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah. You also have Technology Ventures, right? Isn't
Yes,
that one of your
after
companies?
leaving Microsoft, I started a company called Intellectual Ventures. We have an offices over in Bellevue and a lab. We've spun out a whole bunch of companies. But along the way, I decided I was going to learn about modern cooking. You know, I'd read all about every other kind of cooking. I'd gone to chef school in France. And I knew that there were people that were innovating and making brand new modern approaches to cooking. And I naively thought there's some big book I can buy and that'll teach me how to do it.
Uh-huh.
And there was none. And so eventually I decided I had to write that big book.
Mhm.
And even Ferran Adria didn't have a book at that time.
Ferran had he had a couple of books that were about his menus. Ferran's books, particularly at the time, were such that if you already knew how to make it, you might actually learn something incremental. But it wasn't about here's how you can go do it. And that first Thanksgiving, when I checked out Escoffier from the library, I was kind of pissed off at the recipes because they would always say things like cook until done. It's like, I'm 9 years old. What does cook until done mean?
Yeah.
And so I vowed someday I would do that. So in Modernist Cuisine, we try to explain how to do things super well.
With insane pictures, beautiful
Yes.
pictures.
So that was another. I've also got a camera around the time I was 9,
Mhm.
and I was hugely into photography. And I wanted to have a book that would both show people how to do different techniques and also have compelling pictures.
Mhm.
You know, if you serve up food that looks lousy, well, it may still taste good, but it loses something. So I thought if we can, and here I'm writing a big book. Now, I thought big was going to be 800 pages. It turned out to be 2,438 pages. It would be off-putting to people. And if you said, oh, here's a book that's super technical about the most exotic forms of cooking that only a dozen people in the world do, or a
Right.
dozen restaurants in the world do, that's off-putting. But if you have cool photos, and the photos kind of draw you in, and you see it, and it's like, wow, what's that? Or one aspect of this is we do a lot of what we call cutaway photos, where we would cut various pans, ovens, pieces of equipment in half. And originally the idea was, let's show how the cooking actually works. And so let's have a magic view, like you could cut everything in half and look inside.
It's like you cut a convection oven in half, say.
Yes.
Yes. Well, and we did cut a convection
Yeah.
oven in half.
And a pressure cooker.
Well, in that case, a pressure cooker's, a microwave oven, we
Ooh.
cut in half.
Yeah.
The reason to do those is I was curious about what goes on in there.
Mhm.
I think most people are curious. And I like to say my books are for people that are passionate and curious about food.
Yeah.
If you're not passionate, you're not going to pick up a 2,400 page book. And if you're not curious and you just want to be told what to do, which is a perfectly reasonable thing. Most recipe books say, do this, do this, do this. And if you follow those steps, you'll get a result. And if you don't care why, if you don't want to go do something new, that's fine. It's if you want to do something that is different, that it really helps to understand. Plus, if you're curious, you got to wonder, hey, why am I doing this step?
Mhm.
Well, yeah, and I wouldn't have a clue how a microwave works. Or, I mean, one of the charming things about modernist cuisine is one of my favorite books is Kenji Lopez Alt's Food Lab, right?
Yeah.
Because I really love that the testing, like 8 different ways to roast a chicken, and what did he feel like was best. And with your books, it's you added that scientific side to it. I mean, his does in an elementary way so that I can understand it, but for your books, you had some of that same kind of exploration.
Yep. Yeah, and there's so many properties of things in cooking that you're supposed to take for granted.
Right.
Okay, so there's a French cooking technique called confit, which means preserved, but confit, when applied to protein like duck legs, the idea is that it is a way you cook the meat in fat, submerged for many hours, and that gives it a unique texture. And one day I was sitting there thinking, that can't possibly be true, because if fat could leak out of meat, I'd be a lot thinner. I mean, it was just like this all go whoop. So in fact, it couldn't possibly be true that the fat was modifying the texture of the meat. So we did some studies. Most of the science in our book is testing stuff. So we cooked duck legs at the same time and temperature, but we steamed them. Or we cooked them traditionally, or we cooked them sous vide.
And
No one could tell the difference.
no. Wow.
No, you can't tell the difference. You have to dress the steamed one. You have to put a little bit of rub some fat on the outside because the glycerin will give it away.
Okay.
But other than that, it's the same thing. What causes confit texture is time and temperature.
That's
Perfect.
fun.
I think that's super fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to dive into bread when we come back. You've got a new book out called Modernist Bread at Home on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Sorry, I had to.
Oh no, it's fine.
All right, we're back here in the kitchen on Cairo Radio. Dr. Nathan Muirvold's our guest. He's a scientist, technologist, inventor, author, food photographer, and bread baker.
Yep.
Which is not necessarily the same as cook.
It is not the same.
Not the same as cook. So
Or pastry baker. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
bread's a whole world unto itself.
Your new book in your series of modernist cuisines is called Modernist Bread at Home. Let's just start with the at-home part, because we all know through the pandemic we have inherited many home bakers.
Yep.
Some good, some not so good. And I think the tragedy is that I think the information's out there. I just don't know that we know how to take it in or understand the information. And so, what have you changed with this book from that perspective?
Well, so bread is the thing that you should mess around with the most.
Right.
It's really
you mean
cheap.
try and try again, kind of.
Well, people are intimidated by making bread, but there's no rational reason for that. Okay, the ingredients are cheap. You won't find a cheaper ingredient than flour. If you're cooking A5 Wagyu, you should be, the first time, maybe you should be nervous. Okay?
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's expensive. You don't want to ruin it. But bread is very technique oriented. That was another thing that happened when I was a kid is my grandma made bread and let me participate. And it was such a magical thing. You take this white powder that doesn't taste very good. I tried. And water and some yeast, and you get this amazing thing out.
Yeah, like the best food ever.
Yeah.
Warm
But
bread.
you have to ferment it or proof it for a period of time. The temperature matters. How you do the mixing or kneading matters. And so it is not like almost any other kind of food.
So you researched this for about 4 years, correct?
Yeah, well, we wrote a 2,600-page
That's
book
right.
called Modernist Bread without the at-home part.
Uh-huh.
And that was great fun. But for modernist bread at home, what we did is we tried to pick a set of recipes that were both awesome and relatively straightforward, and that we could explain without having all of the background of the rest of the book. And that's what gives us this.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of sourdough bakers out there.
There are.
Tell us what you've learned about sourdough to be the most successful as you can be.
Well, there's a lot of so sourdough is almost a commitment beyond bread making, because you have this living culture that you want to keep.
It's a
propagating.
child, for God's sake.
And maybe just as finicky or more finicky. So sourdough has got lots of advantages. I think it tastes awesome. People do fetishize sourdough, though, to a degree that I don't think is warranted.
Our next guest, Nancy Leeson, is very much that way. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Nancy, but for example, I've had the same sourdough culture. Oh, hey, it's beautiful loaf. That is a fantastic loaf. She does not need my books.
Yeah.
When people say they've had the same sourdough culture for many years, unless they have a high-grade biolab with everything being sterile and everything being kept at the same temperature, no, you don't. In fact, what happens is the sourdough culture that you get is mostly a product of how and when you feed it and the conditions in your kitchen, mainly temperature. It's not the same sourdough in the winter and the summer if your kitchen is a different temperature in the winter and summer. Another thing that's an issue about sourdough is if you consistently feed your culture, you go through a lot of flour. So a typical home sourdough thing, you'll go through a 50-pound sack of flour a year if you feed it appropriately.
Wow.
And if you make bread every time you take half of it away.
That 50 pounds is going in the garbage or compost, right?
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
So we invented something we call second chance sourdough. So if you're baking it right then, great, do it. And if you bake that much, more power to you. But if instead of throwing it out, freeze it. And then if you can use
Freeze the dough.
The sourdough
Discard.
culture.
The culture. Okay.
What you would have discarded.
All right.
And then you make your favorite recipe with it, but you have to add some regular yeast, 0.5% by weight. That's it.
And that's the one you call sour faux?
No, that one is second chance sourdough.
Okay.
So that allows you to have sourdough at any point, even if you stopped feeding your culture or it died or whatever, you have the stuff in there. The frozen sourdough for a couple days, actually, you can freeze it and thaw it, and the culture will probably still be enough alive. Wow. But if you let it go beyond that, you need to add the yeast. But all of the enzymes and the various fermentation products are all there. And because they're all there, you get a loaf that tastes the same.
Interesting.
The other thing, here's the other sourdough trick, is I said the temperature matters. And one of the things that matters a lot about the temperature is there's some of the bacteria and fungi that are in a sourdough culture make acetic. That's vinegar. Some make lactic acid. That's more of the yogurt kind of acidity. And the flavor of the sourdough depends a lot on the temperature. So we did a bunch of studies to say, what is our favorite temperature? And favorite temperature is 55 Fahrenheit for us. And conveniently, a wine fridge you can get at Costco for like $90 is 55. So that is the other thing, is keep your sourdough in the wine fridge. And
brilliant.
It gives you a great taste to it, from my perspective. If you like the taste the way you have it now, I'm not saying it's wrong. The other thing I find interesting about sourdough is that for centuries, maybe millennia, that's all we had. That's the only. So without the fact that sourdough works together, and it works for an interesting reason. So bacteria and yeast don't like to share their food. So most kinds actually will piss out some kind of poison.
Mhm.
Penicillin mold pisses out a thing that kills all other microorganisms. That's why it's useful as an antibiotic. That was the whole point of penicillin to the original mold. Well, yeast does this by putting out ethanol, alcohol, which kills a lot of other stuff. Lactic acid bacteria and some other bacteria put out lactic acid. Now, the interesting thing is that by itself, neither one of those is foolproof. But if they both invade a batter together, the combination keeps almost everything else out. So it's a kind of a alliance or a symbiotic relationship between the acid bacteria and the alcohol bacteria. And it's crazy stable. So you can maintain a culture in non-sterile conditions. It won't be exactly the same, but you certainly can maintain it.
Let's talk about wild yeast a little bit.
Yeah.
The yeast that's in the air around us, because I never knew much about that until Chiros, who started La Penzanella Bakery here,
Yep.
maybe 30, 40 years ago.
Yep.
Started only doing wild yeast or air yeast fermentation. You said you have to add yeast to this frozen sourdough
Yep.
culture. Can you leave it on the counter and pick up wild yeast?
You could, and then you'd be, but that's very much like creating a new sourdough culture. So the
Okay.
way we create a
Same
new
thing.
sourdough culture is just flour and water and put it on the counter. Adding raisins and a whole bunch of other weird stuff doesn't really work very well. It fools you because if you add raisins or something else that's sweet, it does fizz much sooner. But here's the thing. The fizzing that happens from the raisins are yeast and bacteria that are expecting to be fed with sugar. You're not going to do that. You're going to feed it ultimately on flour.
Flour. Yeah.
For a yeast to eat flour, it has to exude enzymes that break down the starch into simple sugars and glucose. And it's the breaking it down into those sugars that is why we have a nice color on here. We did tests where we made loaves of bread without yeast or sourdough in them. And they don't smell good. That's the first interesting thing. Like fresh bread out of the
That,
oven
like,
smells
yes,
so
yeasty
damn good.
aromaticness,
Why on earth
yeah.
is that true? We couldn't figure it out, but
Yeah.
we did figure out it's because of the yeast. And the yeast breaking the starch into sugars helps them caramelize, which gives you this incredibly beautiful loaf.
Yeah. I could see how people might be a little intimidated listening to you talk. Where would you, if they were to get this book, what recipe would you tell them to start with? They kind of break into this whole.
We have a whole section on that in the book of here's where you should start, and here's the things that you can go do first.
Because it's kind of like going to school and you learn the process, right?
And there's nothing better than actually doing the process. My big bread book weighs about the same as a 50-pound sack of flour. And one of my jokes is you really should buy both. And by the time you've gone through both, you'll know how to make bread.
Well, there's a whole movie on Julie and Julia and how she went cover to cover. I can imagine somebody taking your book and doing the same and just really becoming almost scholarly about bread, which is awesome. You don't get that opportunity very often. Our guest has been Dr. Nathan Myhrvold. He's got a whole bunch of books, many under the title of Modernist Cuisine.
And his team brought us an extra book for
Oh,
a
did they?
giveaway
Oh,
for
we're
the
gonna give
audience
away?
at the end of the show.
Give it away.
Yeah.
Give it away.
Right now? All right.
Do you know how to do it? So you're looking for somebody
Don't
sitting in the
throw it.
audience.
Do not throw it and have
Somebody
catch
sitting
it.
in the audience. Because how did she win that?
She found the winner sticker under her chair
Under her
early.
chair.
Yes.
So we're like Oprah.
Yes. Thank you, Nathan.
We're like Oprah. Thank you for that, Nathan.
And you know what? Sorry to say, trivia's next, and you guys are in trouble. Nathan's staying.
Oh no,
That is BS.
that is not fair, Becky.
Okay, we'll be right back here on the Hot Stove Society Show, Cairo Radio 97.3 FM. We're gonna crush them.
We are not. I know. I can't wait to look through it.
Congratulations. That's funny. You almost had the book, didn't you? We watched you get up. It's like she's gonna be so mad. All right, let's do this. The books, there's two books one book making their way around.
Fine.
Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society show. A lot of excitement here today. Once again, I want to thank all the people who bought tickets at the University Food Bank auction to come and join us today and to stay for lunch afterwards, cooked by Nancy Leeson and Leslie Kelly, former restaurant reviewers of the local papers. And now they're going to get reviewed themselves by me today. So I'm looking forward to that. We're going to turn the tables, so to
Yes.
speak. All right, Becky, what do we got going on?
Well, we're doing trivia. Do you want to read about trivia a little bit?
Okay,
About our little promo?
you bet I do.
Only done this. For,
Happy Thanksgiving to you from Rub with Love. Please pick some up at any of our fine retail partners, like the 10 locations of Metropolitan Market Stores, Skagit's own Fish Market in Burlington, the Peppercorn in Boulder, Colorado, and where I just was, and I just bought a Veggie Rub at AJ's Fine Food in the greater Phoenix area. And they
Nice.
also were out of our salmon rub because it all sold out, and out of our ancho molasses barbecue sauce because it all sold out. So
There you
we're
go.
getting the shelves full down there. Let's play our game, Becky.
Yes. Well, today's going to be fun. We've got Dr. Nathan Mirvold, who is, God,
this feels very unfair. I just
Let's just call them elementary.
elementary.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he did work with Stephen Hawking at a very young age. So
we're gonna do great.
we're going to do
Yeah,
great.
it's awesome.
So each
And I
of
have
you-
to go first.
You'll go first. Each will get 5 questions. And the winner will pick out someone in the audience to get a 3-pack of Rub with Love.
Should
So
we just skip to that
A
part?
free stroll.
a free
our-
stroll through the
yeah,
gift
yeah,
shop.
through the gift
Yes.
shop.
And this quiz it's kind of inspired, sprinkled with Thanksgiving questions and maybe a little modernist bread at home questions. We'll see.
And I'll remind you when you go through the gift shop, the person who wins, give my our spirit animal, my mother's stove, a little pet. Say hi to my mom, whose picture's on the top of that stove.
It's still beautiful.
Wish her happy Thanksgiving.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Loretta, you ready?
No.
Okay. Number 1. And you have an
You're an
advantage on this
attorney.
one.
You got this.
When making Thanksgiving stock, it's important to skim the what? Terry was notorious for saying this. Skim the
Something you
That.
might find on the pond also.
Scum.
skim the scum. Yes.
Oh,
Good
see, We're
job.
teaming up on you, Nathan.
Okay.
If one were to prepare a spatchcock turkey, what bone would one need to cut through with kitchen shears and what bone would one need to thwack?
Backbone.
Backbone cut or thwack?
Cut.
You cut the backbone and
Yeah.
you thwack the breastbone.
Breastbone.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got it. Number 3, is rusk, spelled R-U-S-K,
Okay.
a food, a spice, or a cooking technique?
It's a food.
It is a food.
Yes.
Give
What
them
it-
to my babies.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's a hard, dry biscuit or twice baked bread. Number 4 is multiple choice. What traditional fermented beverage, popular in Eastern Europe, is made from sourdough rye bread, is
Kvass.
known for slightly sour and fizzy taste? And
Kvass.
you got it.
It's not your question.
It's not your
Oh,
question.
it's not my
but-
question. Well, you got it then.
but
I'll
Lor-
take it.
Loretta is
that.
grateful. She's grateful for that.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
No, we made it.
And what's it called?
Kvass.
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 Oh, fine.
I read it when I was strolling through the book. Mhm. All right. Final question. How old was Nathan Mirvold when, after checking out a library book about flambéed dishes called The Pyromaniac's Cookbook, he announced to his mother he would make their Thanksgiving dinner all by himself?
9.
You got it.
Wow,
When
you
he
were
told the
listening.
story,
Good
you were
job.
listening.
I had my active listening years on.
Wow. 5 out of 5. Okay, Nathan, you got some work.
Okay.
You ready? What is the only fruit with its seeds on the outside?
Strawberry.
You got it.
Why don't you take for a second and think about that?
Okay.
I did.
Is that your final answer?
This one might be a little tricky. According to the self-proclaimed gravy god, Tom Douglas, what is the number one thing that's important to make in making gravy? Hint, turkey drippings and onions are helpful, but this ingredient is essential.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. I don't know what Tom would
Did
say.
you listen to my show last week?
I did not listen to your show last
It
week.
takes about 4.5
Seven.
cups of it.
4.5 cups. Well, let me see. It's probably not salt, or probably not
Is
even
this how
flour.
You think? You just go through this deductive reasoning. Yeah.
Chicken stock.
You got it.
Yeah.
Or turkey stock, either one. Good job. All right. Number 3, what is the name of the French dish that is slow cooked, shredded meat paste often spread on bread?
Rillette.
You got it. Rillette it is. Number 4.
And to be clear, it could be salmon rillette.
They're true. It could. It's true. So I
Well,
should have said,
traditionally, it's supposed to be pork.
Pork, traditionally. Just saying.
but would you call salmon a meat in a,
Yeah.
in a sense?
Oh,
It's
okay.
not a
Oh,
veggie.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
I did play with that in my head multiple times. Number 4, Hasselback potatoes are known for their crispy edge and soft interior. What's the technique, the key technique to create that texture?
Usually, you par cook them and you cut them not all the way through.
Nailed it.
And then if you want to be fancy, you
Uh-huh.
you put bay leaves
In between
Ooh.
that.
in that. Yeah.
Or you throw an interception in when you ask Matt Hasselback to.
Spelled the same way. Actually, it came from a Stockholm restaurant where it was first served, named Hasselback. Final question is multiple choice. Recently, the U.S. Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy, attended a potluck to launch the nationwide campaign Project Gather, aimed at combating loneliness through communal meals. Guests were asked to bring a dish inspired by their childhood. Dr. Murthy brought his Ras Malai, which is a cardamom-scented dessert of milk and sugar topped with pistachios. Alice Waters brought local greens from the farmer's market. What childhood dish did Jose Andre bring? Was it a large platter of pinchos, his grandmother's gazpacho, or his mother's vegetable stew?
This is stew.
It was a stew.
Nice.
And in addition, he brought slabs of batarga, a huge chunk of blue cheese, eggs, roasted peppers, and sea salt, all of which seemed to explode from the pockets of his cargo shorts and fleece vest. All right, we got a tie, 5 out of 5.
Nothing like pulling a little batarga out of your pocket.
Well, yeah. I wouldn't inquire to where that's actually been.
All right. Okay, Tom,
All right.
we got to get 5 here. First popularized in the United States. Sean, can you redo that, please? Number 1, first popularized in the southern United States, this elaborate multi-bird roast was often associated with Thanksgiving feasts. What is its name, and what are the 3 birds typically used?
Boy, that's a lot of answers. That could be the whole thing. I made one at Thanksgiving one year,
I did too.
40 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and the power went out, and I had this
Oh
big
no.
blob of stuff in my oven.
Uh-huh.
It's a turducken,
Yep.
and it's got turkey, duck, and a game hen.
Perfect. Or chicken, either one. It's
chicken,
perfect.
yeah.
Good job. But you've never made it since.
No,
Me neither. Just once.
I like crispy skin. It turns out.
Yeah. Number 2, what is the name of the meat spread similar to rillette, but typically smoother and made with liver?
Pate.
Pate. You got it. Number 3, what is the best way to make garnishes stick to bagels? You might need to ask your buddy over there.
Yeah, my buddy over here. Garnishes. stick to
I've been
bagels.
drunk too much kvass to answer.
Yeah, I'm gonna egg wash it and then put stuff on top.
That's good, but they came up with a tapioca starch slurry coating, which does the job.
Yeah.
So
So do
very
I
fancy.
get that or not? No.
No.
Oh, they're mean.
2 more. What is the name of the northern Italian condiment that is made of candied fruit and mustard flavored syrup, traditionally served with boiled meats, but now popular with cheeses?
Mostardo.
Mostardo. Final question. In winemaking, what term refers to the sediment of dead yeast and other particles that settle at the bottom after fermentation?
Sediment.
Rhymes with bees.
Bees. Lees.
Lees. Yes. Well, we've got a tie here with Loretta and Nathan.
Okay, I'm going to watch for the slap.
Okay, whoever slaps
Slap
down
it.
first can answer. Ready? What is the best tool for slicing bread? Nathan.
Electric carving knife.
Electric
That's
carving.
what I read.
Yeah.
That's totally what I would have said.
And there's also, can you share the technique of cutting the bread?
Well, the trick with bread is when you have a beautiful bread like this, you need to go through a very crisp crust and then a soft interior, and you don't want to destroy either one.
Mhm.
So the idea is you take the electric carving knife and you just slowly go down, and it will saw through the top without crushing the bottom.
Thank you.
Because when you take a serrated knife, you take bigger
Same kind of-
swaths, and it just
Yeah.
And
tears
you push
apart
it
the
down
inside,
maybe
yeah.
as you're trying to get through the
And
top
don't-
crust. Interesting.
cut it when it's too hot or hot, right? Let it cure.
Yes.
Is that true? Do you believe
Well-
that too? Let it
Yeah,
cure.
but it's so
So,
good to eat.
One of
when
the
it's
things
hot.
in the book, yes, exactly. So we have a little sidebar in the book: how to tell a professional bread baker from a real human. And professional bread bakers get mad if you eat their bread hot.
Uh-huh.
All actual human beings want to eat the bread hot.
Mhm.
That's why they make toasters. All right. Thanks, Nathan, for playing. If you want to be part of the show, you can join our community at YouTube Live, on YouTube Live at Tom Douglas & Co., or buy a ticket to join us here in the studio at hotstovesociety.com. Show is produced by Becky Guzak. Our technical wizard is Cameron Thomas. Our talented editor at Cairo is Sean. Please don't call me Del Torre. And if you miss any episode of our Hot Stove Society show on Cairo, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Good
All
job,
right.
everybody. Thank you. I'm going to ask you to stay seated and stay quiet for 30 seconds while I do a promo. Kitchen team, no sound, please. Hi, I'm Chef Tom Douglas.
I'm Loretta Douglas.
Today on the Hot Stove Society radio show, we talk turkey, for God's sake. We explore panettone with Eliza Ward from Chef Shop. Pastry chef Brittany Bartleven inspires us with her take on holiday tiramisu. And Dr. Nathan Myhrvold shares his insight from his latest book, Modernist Bread at Home.
One
That
take
was
Tom.
pretty.
That was good. One take, Tom. All right. So,
Thank you, everyone.
yeah.
Bridget, how long do you need to turn the room to get lunch started? All right, you have 15 minutes to wander about. Come on back at that point. So that puts you in here at 11:15 at the latest, 11:10 preferably.